Here we go. Feel free to play whatever music you like. But we can start on our back. And actually, this is a warm-up with the scapula. So if we're on our back and you want to be in neutral position, so you don't want to have an imprint right now, a small space under your lower back, feet are hip distance apart, knees bent. Raise your arms so they're right over your shoulders. And we're pretty much going to be in neutral scapular position. But on the inhale, you're going to reach your arms toward the ceiling and feel your shoulder blades come off the mats. Good. Now your head should be on the mat, your spine should be on your mat, your pelvis, your tailbone, everything is still in neutral position on the mat. Now we're going to exhale and press the shoulder blades down into the mat into retraction. So this might feel a little funny because you're actually trying to dig your shoulder blades down and try to push them in, and there's going to be some friction in the mat. So if that doesn't feel very comfortable, don't worry about forcing it. But the point is that you want to feel your shoulder blades. Inhale, lift off the floor, exhale, not just touch the floor, but actually dig into the floor a little bit on that exhale. Inhale, protraction. Exhale, retraction. My arms are staying in the same position. They're mostly straight. What I'm not doing is bending my elbows as I retract and then straightening my arms as I protract. The movement here is isolated to the shoulder blades. Inhale one more time for protraction. Exhale, retraction. And then find your neutral. So it should be in between that, where you feel contact of the mat with your shoulder blades, but you're not jamming it down into the mat. Good. From here, we're going to imprint the lower back and then come to neutral. I don't know if you can see it, but my pelvis is tilting back and my tailbone comes off the floor for the imprints. And inhale, return to neutral. Exhale, imprint. One thing that happens a lot is as we move one part of our body, other parts of our body wants to move. So by keeping our arms where they are, we can focus on keeping the shoulder blades in neutral position. See if you notice as you're imprinting, if you also retract or something else happens. All right, because sometimes what happens is as we take our lower back down to the mat, we also want to jam our shoulder blades down. We want to do other stuff. So we're really trying to isolate certain parts of our body, moving only where we want it to move, stabilizing where we want it to stabilize. Good, from here, imprint, keep the imprint, lace the tabletop. Now, if you're tired of holding your arms here, you can place them back down. But if you'd like to continue working on your shoulder blade, keeping it in neutral and also utilizing your abdominals, you keep your arms here. Exhale to lower one leg, inhale to return. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale. So as we're tapping our legs out, keeping the knees bent at 90 degrees, we're trying not to lose the imprints. We're trying to keep tension out of our neck. Shoulder blades naturally have to move when you move your arms. If you elevate your arms over your head, your shoulder blades have to shift to allow for that movement. If you would like, as we're tapping our legs one by one, you can move the arm that's opposite. So if this is my back leg moving, my front arm will move bicep towards the ear and then return. I'm not having the arm go all the way to the ground. That way I can keep my rib cage in place. We don't want the rib cage to pop up. Anytime the rib cage pops up, we are arching our back and we're losing our imprint. So see how this feels here. Feel free to slow down the movement. I feel a little more abdominal recruitment here because my arms aren't on the floor. As you return the arm above the shoulders, we're trying not to protract, so I'm not reaching up, right? See, that's where my shoulders protract. I'm trying to keep it in neutral. Okay, so let's try both legs lowering. You can keep your arms where they are. You can, of course, put the hands on the floor and press into the mat for added stability of the imprints. You don't have to take your legs all the way to the floor. Take it halfway down. And then the more challenging version is you have your arms go over by your ears as a leg reach away. This is similar to double leg stretch, which you'll see in the ab series later. But keep in mind, we're just warming up here, so do what works best for you as you wake up your abdominals. Last one here. Yeah, let's bring our hands down to the mats, bring the feet down to the mats, feet hip distance apart, and roll up into our shoulder bridge, articulating one vertebra at a time. Inhale at the top, and exhale, lowering down. Coming to neutral, tailbone on the floor. Exhale, roll back up, finding that articulation. Inhale, reach those knees away from the shoulders, and exhale, roll back down. Inhale. Exhale out through pursed lips. Use that exhale to engage and recruit those abs. Squeeze the butts. Inhale and exhale. One more. Trying to find as much mobility in our spine right now as we can. Good. As we do our ab prep, which is lifting the head, neck, and shoulders, the natural tendency is to separate the shoulder blades, and that's okay. We are creating curvature in the spine, spine flexion. As we nod, lift the head, neck, and shoulder blades, looking at the knees and actively reaching with my fingertips for the toes. And that alone will separate my shoulder blades. Inhale, exhale, reach. Inhale, hold, exhale, lower. Two more. Now we'll go into our hundreds. We're going to pump our arms 100 times while trying to keep the head, neck, and shoulders lifted the entire time. So reach forward, palms are down, lift the legs to tabletop. If you want to do hundreds here, you can. I'm going to straighten my legs and I'm going to pump my arms. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10. Inhale. Exhale. 20. Inhale. Exhale. 30. Inhale. Exhale. 40. I'm going to lower my legs a little bit, a little more challenge. Exhale. 50. Inhale. Exhale. 60. Keep reaching those arms. Exhale. 70. Maybe lower it just a tad more. You can always pick the angle of your legs. You decide what the challenge will be. 90. Inhale. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, hug the knees in a little bit, and flip yourself over for spine movements. Now, once again, we'll start with a protracted shoulder blade. So we're going to bring the front of our shoulders down onto the mat. You want separation of the shoulder blades. My nose is hovering just above the mat. On my inhale, I'm going to lift my shoulders off the floor by retracting my shoulder blades. So I've done really nothing except pull my shoulders off the floor. And then from here, I'm going to use the muscles around my spine to lift the rest of my chest and reach my arms toward my toes. On the reverse, I'm going to lower my hands. I'm going to lower my chest. I'm going to reach the front of my shoulders to the floor. I know I'm turning my head, but that's just to make sure you can hear me. But you do want to have your face facing down into the mat. No need to smash your nose, but you want to keep your head and neck aligned with your spine at all times. Inhale to protract. Lift the chest, lift the arm. Find your low hover, keeping that chin slightly tucked. And exhale, release. Hands, chest, shoulders. Inhale again. So we're basically starting with shoulder blade movements and ending with shoulder blade movements. Go at your own pace. Inhale when you're ready. And exhale to lower. Again, this first movement is just shoulder blades, right? The tops of my arms stay on the mat as my shoulders, the front of my shoulders lift, and then I lift the rest. Go ahead and take your hands underneath your shoulders and push yourself up. Give your spine a little stretch out. And coming to seated position. So I usually start by sitting up, but I didn't do that today. So we're sitting up nice and tall. Just string pulling up through the top of our head. Arms reach forward. Elevate the shoulders. Feel how that doesn't feel great. And we want to drop those shoulders. We're going to keep those shoulders down as we draw the belly in. Great flexion in the spine. Shoulder blades separate from each other here. That's what happens when you have a curve or flexion in the spine. Inhale. As I start to sit up, I do bring my shoulder blades back towards each other for that neutral. Exhale. Arm reach forward. Curvature. Inhale. So there's a couple things happening on that inhale. As we exhale, we're curving the spine, we're drawing our abs in. We keep the shoulders down. As I inhale, yes, I'm straightening my spine, but how do I straighten my spine? One thing I do is I lift my chest. The other thing I do is squeeze my shoulder blades a little bit. And then the muscles of the spine are engaging in order to go from flexion to neutral. Really anchor those feet to the ground here. It's also great to have shoulder range of motion, the shoulder joint itself. So we're going to add our arm circles. So you can reach the front arm up. As you start to curve back, reach around as far as you can go, but keep an eye gaze on your hand so your arm isn't coming out of range of your gaze. And then circle back around and lengthen. Exhale, reach. Circle, return. Exhale. It's a little bit of rotation. Definitely range of motion at the shoulders, but I'm talking about the rotation happening in your spine right here. And lengthen. Do one more on each side. Kind of a nice stretch too of that chest. And exhale. Inhale. Slowly rolling down. Flex the feet, reach those heels actively away from your head, and squeeze your quadriceps. So before we even start our first roll up, we want engaged legs. Reach the biceps toward the ears. You can elevate a leg if you like. This will help with the roll up. Inhale, arms to the ceiling, nod the chin. Exhale. As you use your abs to peel your spine off the ground, you can shoot the heel out. That'll give you a little bit of assistance in the roll up. And the other option is to keep your feet down the whole time. So I'm going to show with the other leg, and then I'll show the version where both heels stay down. Inhale. Nod, exhale. It's a smooth articulation. I'm keeping the curvature in my spine as I roll down. The roll-up is challenging, especially if you have sort of a spine that doesn't really want to curve. Have active legs, though. Really want to emphasize that. A lot of times we don't think about our legs being part of our roll-up because You think it's just abs, but having the anchor of your feet helps. Have you ever done sit-ups? Like when you're in grade school and you had someone sitting on your legs or feet while you did sit-ups or crunches? It always helped a lot because that was the leverage that you could use with your legs to help pull your body up. So it's kind of the same thing. So if you don't have someone sitting on your legs, you have yourself engaging those legs. And that alone helps with abdominal recruitment. Exhale. If you want a little more challenge on the way down, you can either raise your arms up, higher, closer to the ears as you roll down. Or you can even put your hands on your forehead. This is the last one anyways. Okay. I always gotta, I will never not have to adjust my pants after roll-ups. So we're hugging our knees into our chest for our ab series. The idea behind the ab series is that we try to flow from one move to the next, trying to keep the head, neck, and shoulder blades up the entire time. I don't want you to judge yourself if you can't do that, because sometimes our necks do get tired. But our goal is to try to kind of build up that endurance over time. Lifting the head, neck, and shoulder blades, you can always place it down when you need to, and then lift it back up when you're ready. Exhale, reach a leg out, any angle, high or low, your choice. Inhale to switch, exhale, reach. Inhale, exhale. Option to flex the foot, reach the heel out, or have the length of the pointed toe. You want basically abdominals engaged, lower back imprinted, and a strong straight leg. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more on each side. Keep the legs going, take the hands behind the head, add rotation. Very little rotation. Very, very minimal. I want you to think about your shoulder blades right now. You don't want to pull them apart, but you want to think of them as neutral, and one goes a little higher than the other. That's it. Neither of them are touching the floor. Inhale through midline, exhale, twist. So if you do your best to keep your elbows wide and both shoulder blades off the ground, I guarantee you will feel this. It's when you over-rotate and you bring one shoulder to the ground like this, or you roll across your shoulder blades, that's when the work is taken away. Double leg stretch. Shoulder blades still up. And here, as you exhale, I want you to think about touching the ceiling. Yeah, I know you're not going to touch it, but think about trying. Reach high. How much higher can we lift with every single double leg, double arm stretch? So it's not enough just to move the arms, but we want to reach higher. Higher. Good. Exhale, reach. Inhale. Last two. Last one. Both legs straight for the scissors. And pulse. Pulse and pulse. Splits, bigger splits. Split, bigger split. My shoulder blades are still off the ground. So if you think about your head, neck, and shoulder blade position, it stayed mostly the same for this entire abdominal series. Think reach, reach further. Reach, reach further. Reach, reach further. Last exercise will be a double leg lowering. Two positions of your arms. One is here. Inhale, exhale. Or if you like, exhale, inhale. Do what works for you. Other option, hands behind the head if your neck is tired. But this does add also more challenge to your abs because of the weight of your arms. Try your best to keep the shoulder blades off the ground. Last three. Last two. Last one. And relax. How do we do? So over time, yes, when I first started doing Pilates, my neck was sore all the time. But it does build up over time, your neck strength, your neck endurance. But you also want to try to keep it safe by keeping your eye gaze on your knees and not looking at the ceiling. All right. Oh, this abdominal stretch feels really good right now after the ab series. We're going to start with leg lifts. So if you want to stack your hands and place your forehead right on your hands, we're going to have our feet separated, about shoulder distance. Squeeze those quadriceps nice and tight. Lift the entire leg straight off the ground. I know my head's not down, but just so I can talk to you clearly. You're going to try to lift your quads and stretch your hip flexors, which is right underneath your hip bone, with every leg lift. Squeeze that butt. Okay, so we're going to involve the upper body now. You have a couple options. You can have your arms bent in a W, and as you lift one leg, you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades, lift those arms in a bent form off the ground. So that's what I would call W. Then there's the T version. And if you do the same thing, it's arms straight out to the side, and you're squeezing your shoulder blades together. Inhale, exhale, lower. And feel free to try both versions. Both versions, they just feel a little different. You might feel you have more range of motion with the T as you squeeze the shoulder blades together, but it's a longer lever into the side. The W, you might feel like you can't squeeze your shoulder blades as much just because of the orientation of your arms. But you might feel that you can lift your spine a little higher because your arms are shorter lever. All right, so neither is wrong. You can try both. I'm lifting one leg at a time as I lift my chest, keeping my chin tucked, head and neck aligned with the spine. Let's do 2 more. Again, you can pick different versions, but either way, your arms are coming off the ground and you're feeling your shoulder blades slide towards each other. That same retraction. Now go ahead and stretch. So in the stretch, we're going to separate the shoulder blade, and we are going to round the spine. So earlier on the mat in the warm-up, when we were lying down, you could feel your shoulder blades come off the mat, and then you can feel it come back on the mat. So that's a really great way to have tactile feedback, some sort of touching feedback to know what your shoulder blades are doing. Another version of this is when you're on your hands and knees to move your shoulder blades, but there's no real tactile feedback. There's nothing that indicates you pulled your shoulder blade away from something and that you've pushed your shoulder blades towards each other. Okay, but this is also a great way to work those shoulder blades. So on our hands and knees with the wrists underneath the shoulders and knees underneath the hips, I want you to lock out your elbows. And normally I don't want you to do that, but for the purposes of this, since a lot of times when people retract their shoulder blades, bring them together, they often bend their arms. But we're trying not to have anything to do with our arms. My body is moving because my shoulder blades are moving. All right, and just another variation of that is if my body was still, then my arm is moving. So either your body's still and your arms move, or your arms are still and your body moves. So these are what we call scapula push-ups. I know, push up, drop, push up. It's all shoulder blades, nothing to do with the arms. So if you can do your best to keep your arms straight. Now this happens to be on in a kneeling position. You can strengthen and work those muscles a little more by doing it on your knees. So if I shift forward, once again I get my wrists underneath my shoulders, my butt disappears. Now I'm a straight line from my ears, shoulders, hips, and knees. And I do the same thing. This is a little more challenging because there's more weights. And similar to regular push-ups, you can do it on your toes. And I'm not gonna lie, it is very hard to do that. I think I can try maybe one. But this is a lot of work because your whole body is now, your whole body weight is now on those arms. All right, so one way I do it is just on the knees. All right, so let's get off our wrists for a moment and do the plank. Now, sometimes when we're in a plank on our elbows and our forearms, our shoulder blades can still move. Let's try that. Let's find your plank. Forearms on the floor, elbows underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes under. Option to drop to your knees. So brace your abs here. And then see if you can move your shoulder blades. Let the shoulder blades shift towards each other, shift away from each other, towards each other, away. And then I want you to find what you think is in between those two. So whatever is your most protracted, your most retracted, now find something in between and hold. When you hold a plank, you want to be in neutral shoulder blade position. I know most people don't even think about their shoulder blades when they're doing the plank because there's already a lot to think about for the plank, right? You gotta squeeze your abs, squeeze your butt, squeeze your quads, make sure your body's aligned from ears to the ankles. So the last thing we're thinking about is your shoulder blades. But if you can think about it, it's really great. It helps with all the shoulder girdle muscles. And I think we can just hold this for one more breath. Inhale and exhale. Whew. Yeah. Well, thank you, Robin, for suggesting this. It's all good. Very, very good stuff. We good? All right. Shake those shoulder blades out. Let's get into our glute bridge. So, glute bridge, as we did from the warm-up, removing the articulation. It's good to have articulation. It's good to be able to roll up and roll down one vertebral chain. It's also good to practice a neutral, stable spine. So that's what we're doing now. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart. Good. Now if you'll notice here, shoulders, hips, knees, one alignment. Here, shoulders, hips, not aligned with the knees. How would I make it align with the knees if I strained a leg? So there. We're going to try to keep this alignment going. So basically, before we even lift, squeeze your quads, squeeze your butt, just kind of lock everything in place. And now push with the remaining leg until you have alignment with everything. All right? Well, not with the bottom foot. Lower back down and lift. You don't have to go all the way down unless you want to rest. I'm getting down because my butt is a little curvy, right? It's not very curvy, but it's just a little curvy. But basically my butt generally hits before my heel does. So when I feel my butt hit, I just go back up. So I'm not fully resting. But I'm really trying to maintain a straight line from my shoulder, through the hip, through the knee, through the ankle, through the toes of that one straight leg. And my other leg, the other foot is pressing through the floor and working that glute. Getting the hips, we're gonna get the hips same height each side. Give me one more here. Good, so part of the challenge here is that when I push through this, like here, right, I'm lifting, but my foot didn't come up. I want my foot to come up. At the same time, I start to lift my butt. And then to be careful as you're here, that you don't drop your butt here and then lower your leg. So all this sort of strong plank maintenance. Let's switch sides. Yes, a plank is defined by a straight line, right? Like a plank of wood. And so a plank necessarily isn't always face down. We are in a plank. We're just in a supine position. We're facing up. Lift and lower. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Press, really work that butt cheek. And again, we're thinking about abs recruited, glutes recruited on both sides, yes? Because if your butt isn't recruited on the straight leg side, then it's really hard to maintain that straight leg alignment as you lift the whole spine off the ground. Give me 3 more here. Looking for that alignment right there. Good. All right. Check it out. I'm going to rock and roll forward and back. So lift your head, get the shoulder blades off the ground. Start to generate a little bit of momentum. Now, initially, you might pull your knees in and shoot your legs out, and that creates enough power that you can roll up. But I want you to try to keep all the power in your abs. So every time you're falling, you let gravity take over, but then you use your abs to crunch. 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 What's a crunch? Bring your shoulders to your knees. Not your knees to your shoulders. Shoulders to knees. Shoulders to knees. Shoulders to knees. And then hopefully we made our way all the way up to our tailbone. We're going to try to balance here, and we're going to do rolling like a ball. Rolling like a ball does involve a protracted shoulder blade area. We do want to keep the spine round. And I emphasize this because a lot of times people will do this exercise. They'll flatten out here, right? And then they wonder why they can't get back up. So what you want to do is really keep a curve in the spine. So grab your shin, let gravity fall back, pull you back, but then use your abs, shoulder to knees to bring you back up. Inhale, exhale, shoulders to knees. Inhale, crunch, shoulders to knees. Inhale, crunch. Every time I'm coming up, it's another crunch. Inhale, crunch. Do your best to keep your shoulder blades off the floor. Try not to allow yourself to roll back all the way to your shoulder blades. I'm stopping right around here. And why do I stop there? Is because I'm using my abs. I'm creating such a curve in my spine. Do you guys feel that? You guys feel the abs? I'm keeping such a curve in my spine that at the moment I start rocking back, I try to bring it back up again. So again, I'm not going, there's no hanging out. This is a hanging out. That's too much. I'm falling back, crunch. It's very, very quick. Fall back, crunch. Rock back, crunch. Okay, think of like, you want to roll back, but then you don't really want to roll back, so you change your mind right away. Oh, I change my mind, up. I fall, I change my mind, up. Okay? So very, very small, short rolls. Good. All right, from here, let's add our leg lifts. Here's where I want you to hang out. I don't want you to hang out here, okay? Small roll, hold. Do your legs need to be perfectly straight? No. I just want you to find that deceleration and control. A little bit of momentum, decelerate, freeze, hold. Inhale, exhale, inhale, hold. Exhale, release it. Inhale, exhale, inhale. Hold. Exhale, release. Inhale, exhale, inhale. All right, how are we doing? Does this make sense? Think about rolling like a ball is it's fairly easy to execute, but it's a little challenging to kind of get the concept of the principle of it. Yes, great. All right, thanks. Thanks for answering. All right, so let's get out of our spine. Get out of our spine flexion and get back into spine extension. So if you notice in Pilates, we're always going back and forth between the two. I'm going to show you the flutter. The flutter is this. I guess if you were ever swimming in a pool, this would be the flutter kick. So both legs are straight, and it's kind of an alternating quick pitter-patter with both legs never touching the floor. Let's start with that. Okay, so our spine is engaged. And then here are a couple options. You can hold up here, or you can add some rotation. So I'm here laterally bending, reaching, keeping the legs going. Contract here, back here, look, following my hands. Now I'm not looking up here because I don't want to hyperextend my neck, but I'm kind of just looking down toward my shoulders, rotating my neck a little bit, but not hyperextending. So if you'd like to try this, this is just a little bit of coordination and variation of swimming. Obviously you don't swim like this. Good, inhale. Exhale, reach. Inhale, arm back to forward, exhale. If your arms reaching forward is a little too much, you can bring hands to the forehead. Reach here, back to the forehead. Okay, maybe a couple more seconds, but listen to your body, listen to your spine. Let's give a little stretch here. I'm not going to see you guys next week, so let's do some side lying leg lifts. In honor of turkey legs, we'll do some leg lifts. I'm not even eating turkey. I just can't fathom cooking so much meat for like 2 people. So I think we're gonna do chicken. Anyways, align your spine and whole body to the edge of your mats. All right, you know you're straight if you can't see your toes. If I can see my toes, it means my head has reached forward or my whole arm has reached forward. So that's one way of spot checking yourself. And then your hand is your kickstand, okay? When you lift your arm, you should feel pretty unstable. You're lying exactly on the side seam of your clothes. All right, that's the correct position, good. Kneecaps and toenails all facing forward, that's your neutral foot position. This is external when your kneecaps and toes face up. I'm gonna actually flex my feet here. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Now push your hip down and make sure your hips stay stacked. So I'm gonna just show you what this hip hike means. The reason why you don't wanna lift your leg too much higher than your hips is because your hip will hike up, right? You're trying to move within the range of the hip sockets without the pelvis moving. So what I do is I find my hip bone, I just shove it down there. I kind of, oh, I have this orange band today, I forgot. So you can easily see if my hips have hiked, right? Because you can see that whole orange band moving. I forgot I was wearing these fancy pants, which were on the clearance rack because apparently nobody wanted them. Okay, so here, again, it's about a certain range of motion so that our hips, our pelvis stays steady. All right, we've probably done enough leg lifts here. This is always my first exercise to do, and I don't really count this one because this is kind of just to set up everything. Now, here's the real work. You can point the toe or keep your foot flexed, small circles. Inhale, circle, exhale. Very small, very slow. 2 more. In this direction, inhale, exhale, reverse for 6, inhale, exhale. Usually in the first 6, your legs are already burning because you're squeezing your legs nice and straight, your butt's engaged, your outer thighs are engaged, your quads are engaged, right? Everything is engaged. Last one. Good, stagger leg lift, so bring the bottom leg up to meet the top and lower both. Inhale, lift the top, exhale, squeeze the bottom one up, and then lower both. Try your best to hold that leg in the same position for a moment before they both lower. Inhale, exhale, squeeze, and lower. If your bottom leg has trouble getting to your top leg, then just get your top leg a little lower when you first set it. It's about bringing the bottom leg to meet the top leg as opposed to bringing the top leg back down to meet the bottom leg. Give me 1 more of the staggered. And now keep both legs together, squeeze, lift, and lower together. If your outer thigh of the top leg is a little fatigued, then use a little more inner thigh of the bottom leg to do the work here. Exhale, lifts, inhale, lower. I would say this is my standard side lying leg lift combination series here. Good. We're going to lift the upper body. So if your bottom hand, palm isn't down, get it so it's palm down. And then push through your hands. It's okay if you push through your hands because no matter how much you're pushing, your abs are still going to work because your legs are lifting. Exhale, lateral bend. your quads are still very much engaged, this is a great way to build muscle strength to support your kneecaps. Okay, we're gonna do scissors. So start with your legs up, your torso down. And as we scissor, I'm gonna slowly ask you to lift your upper body up. You don't have to. One leg goes forward, the other leg goes back, nice and controlled. Inhale. It depends on how you like to breathe. You could inhale for 2 switches and then exhale for 2 switches. But just make sure you feel like you're in control. You're not scissoring out of control. And then if you'd like to lift your upper body, you keep the scissoring going. Inhale and exhale. And last switch. All right, good. Oof. All right, let's switch sides here. Sometimes it's good to go back to the basics. Ugh. All right, making sure I'm aligned. I'm gonna do exactly what I did on the other side. I'm gonna start with my feet flexed. Just to add some variety. I'm gonna set up, let me find my band here. Set up that pelvis so it's stacked. And then, assuming you have your clothes on correctly like I do, when I say stacked, it means like you have like vertical, versus if I'm hiked, then this thing should be sort of slanted. There's a lot going on, right? We're thinking about our abs stabilizing. We're trying not to fall over. We want to reach our heels or our toes to the far wall. We want to keep our pelvis still. So yeah, we really don't have much time to think about anything else. And we're still breathing. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. With the breathing, it doesn't really matter. You can exhale, lift, inhale, lower, as long as you are breathing. Now I'm going to make a little circles. Point the toe. 6 in each direction. Inhale. If in doubt, make it slower, make it smaller. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. We reverse. If you make the circle too big or too fast, you'll find that your whole body starts to kind of thrash about. And that doesn't really do anything for your stability. And it just hurts so much more when it's slow. Okay, so now we do staggered. So we're going to bring the bottom leg up to meet the top leg and lower both. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze. 2 movements happen on the exhale. The lifting of the bottom leg and then lowering of both. Again, I'm not too worried about the breathing here as long as you're breathing. Give me 1 more and then keep the feet together. Lift both legs, squeezing them nice and tight. You can sort of change the emphasis of this movement based on what you kind of put your concentration in. So if I keep thinking about my outer thighs and I'm sort of initiating with my top leg, I just sort of feel like my bottom leg floats off the ground. But if I relax my top leg and think about really emphasizing the inner thigh of my bottom leg, letting my top leg kind of just go for a free ride, I feel a lot more in my inner thighs. So you can really bring your concentration to different muscle groups. All right, we're gonna lift the top part of our body, so your torso. So you want your palms down because you want to be able to press into the floor. See my armpit, my underarms, it kind of comes off the ground, good. Now be careful, like my head is moving, but be careful it's not this movement where you just lift the head and just the legs. See how my underarm did not move? It's not that. You don't want to make it a neck movement. It is a oblique movement. Exhale, lift. Give me 2 more. Again, don't be afraid to press into the floor, because by simply lifting your torso and your leg, you are going to work your obliques. Let's scissor. One leg forward, one leg back. Again, controlled, maybe two. An inhale for 2 movements. Inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale. And then if you want to lift the torso while you're scissoring, you can. Or just keep your torso down as you continue to scissor. Both legs are off the ground, so that means the top leg is about parallel. And here we're going to lift it for about 3 or 4 pairs. Okie dokie. All right. I'm going to have you do a quick stretch here. We have our outer thighs. This is our mermaid position. So by having the externally rotated leg, you're stretching your glutes a little bit. This is not a huge, intense glute or outer thigh stretch, but it is a nice oblique stretch for sure. How's everyone feeling? Let's switch our legs. So I'm not teaching next week, but if you feel like doing some exercises, I do put these videos up on my YouTube, and there's no charge to view them. And if you like to do one of them, you can. Switch. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Kind of did a little bit of everything today. If you guys ever have a specific request for like a ton more abs or a ton more outer thighs, you guys can let me know. Thank you guys. If you have any questions,